All right, we do have a quorum, so let's go ahead
Last year we had huge, last year I feel like.
whenever you're ready.
30 gallons.
If you're done talking, we'll get started.
We did.
Okay. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, we'll do a roll call.
All right, Bell. Sorry, Curran.
Here.
Freeling. Present. Harrison.
Here.
Hinkleman. Hitchford. Ott. Tyler. Volrath.
Here.
Werfel. Yarborough. Elliott, you have 7. You have a quorum.
All right. Don't anybody leave or we can't do anything.
Thanks for being here.
Minutes from,
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve January 8th minutes from our last guy.
anyone want to support
We
that?
did that already. Oh, we did that
We
already?
didn't do last week. We did them at the BOC meeting.
Hmm,
For the 16th?
Friday.
Yeah. Oh,
okay,
then never mind.
well,
I rescind my motion.
so you rescind your support? Okay,
I'll make the motion.
okay. Is there support?
Oh,
What do we have a motion?
The minutes of January 8th,
those were approved at the special meeting.
For special meeting.
And
20
so we don't have any minutes to
Yeah, all
approve.
your minutes have been approved.
January 8th, 2025?
2026. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm in a time warp. All right,
This was the agenda. It
so
says that.
let's do something else.
We shall.
Requisition review.
Morning. Anybody have any questions about the requisitions? Perfect, thank you.
Chair.
Ma'am,
In the 10:30 meeting, I will be abstaining from 3 of the requisitions that look to be blanket for contractual services for Rev Excavating. I will get those numbers to you, Madam Clerk, and out of an abundance of caution, that's all. Thank you.
you don't mind. Yeah. Scheduled discussion, Dan, you're on first. Who's on second?
All right, while Annette pulls us up, good morning. This morning, we're asking for 2 resolutions to be approved on the consent calendar in a 1-day period. These were supposed to go to finance last week, but because of the snow day, they didn't get through to finance, but it's kind of critical that we get these approved today so we can move forward with this. These resolutions pertain to a public works project that we've been putting in motion for the last few months. That will provide $1.2 million borrowing through the county to assist the owners of the Paw Paw Lake wastewater treatment plant in performing some repairs and improvements of that plant. The owners would be the cities of Watervliet and Coloma and Watervliet and Coloma Township. They all jointly own the project, 25% each. It's been 6 years since we've done a public works project with the county, which means I think we have some commissioners, not anyone sitting at the table right now, but we have some commissioners who may not be familiar with this process because we haven't done it since pre-COVID. We used to do a lot of this in the aughts and the teens, but we haven't done it since COVID, largely because federal funds have kind of supplanted the work that we would do in this area. So briefly, for the commissioners who've seen this before, I'm going to kind of go through a real quick refresher of what County's Board of Public Works is and how it assists in financing water and sewer projects throughout the county. And then I'll briefly explain the project we're working on with the hope that, thank you, that we can get these resolutions approved today. It's all right, Annette. It's okay. It's all right. No, it's fine. Okay, thanks. Okay, so the Board of Public Works was created under Act 185 of 1957. I think the county incorporated its Board of Public Works back in 1969. And it enables counties to finance, construct, and operate water and sewer and solid waste disposal systems on behalf of local municipalities. Once created, the Board of Public Works is appointed to act as an agency that implements and finances improvements at the local level. And that is run through the Department of Public Works, which is kind of unofficially part of the Community Development Department. So we've been administering the Department of Public Works for the last 30, 40 years. And then the work is then approved and overseen by the Board of Public Works. The way that we do these projects is that the local municipality or municipalities, in this case, initiate the project by requesting assistance from the county DPW, the Department of Public Works. Our department evaluates the need and compares preliminary engineering plans and cost estimates. This is generally done by the municipality's civil engineering firm for us. We then negotiate a contract with the local communities that spell out the terms under which the county will sell a bond, construct the project, and then the terms under which that project will then be repaid by the local communities. The contracts typically run 30 years. In this case, it's only going to be a 15-year contract. The next process is that the Board of Public Works meets, they review all of this information, the contracts and the cost estimations, and they make a recommendation to the County Board of Commissioners that the project be adopted. The municipalities pass resolutions pledging, approving the contract, and then pledging full faith and credit on payment of the debt that the county will issue. And then finally, the county board approves the project and authorizes the issuances of the bonds to pay for the project improvements. And this is where we are right now, this final step. County board approving the project and authorizing the issuance of the bonds. That's what will be on the agenda today. The county issues limited tax full faith and credit bonds. These are what we call general obligation bonds. And then the proceeds are used by the Board of Public Works to build the project and cover all of the project expenses. The security for the bonds comes from contractual payments pledged by the municipalities pursuant to the contract that we've approved. The municipality also has to pledge its full faith and credit in support of the debt, and the county's full faith and credit as well supports these bonds. The reason for this is obviously by using the county's credit rating, you get a better interest rate on your borrowing. Municipalities then make semi-annual payments of principal and interest to the county that we then use to pay the debt service on the bonds. The municipalities can meet the obligation by any source of revenue they have. It doesn't have to just be the general, or it doesn't have to be the revenues from their water or sewer systems. It can be any kind of revenue that they have available to them. It really doesn't matter to us as long as they pay. Again, then we manage the bidding, contract, and construction, and then during the construction and after that, we then lease the improvement to the municipality for their operations. So we may be building water and sewer systems. We don't operate them. The local communities operate those under a lease agreement. They insure them as well. Once the bonds are paid off pursuant to that contract, title reverts back to the municipality. We no longer hold title to the water or sewer system. The financial or fiscal safeguards are pretty robust for these projects. The county treasurer, for example, can intercept state payments and distributions to the local community, or delinquent tax distributions if the community fails to pay us for the bonds. In the event of a default, which, by the way, in 50 years has never happened on one of these projects. In the event of the default, the county assumes operations of the system, the water or sewer system, and then raises revenues by adjusting rates and ready to serve charges in amount sufficient to cure the default. That's never happened before. We came really close about 15 years ago with a project in Benton Harbor, but we've never missed a bond payment in 50 years. Okay. Now, the core benefits of this is that it allows municipalities to essentially borrow the county's credit rating for tax exempt bonds. And it also allows the county to help coordinate for the construction and payment of these projects. And most of the work we do tends to be in smaller communities that may not have a robust internal staff that can manage the construction of these projects on their own and may not have access to credit markets without the county's assistance. This is an example. I just went back to 2009 instead of running it all the way back to the beginning of time. But since 2009, these are examples of projects that we've done through this process: the Benton Township Water Plant, the New Buffalo Water Plant. We did a large sewer and water project in Berrien Springs. We did a big water project in the city of Coloma. We did the Orinoco and Berrien Springs water and sewer project that ran all the water and sewer lines up Old 31 to the bypass. Village of Michiana, we essentially rebuilt their entire water system 10 years ago or so. And then we did do a project with the wastewater treatment plant up in Coloma Township about 6 years ago. This is a follow-up project to that one. We're kind of completing what we started back in 2019. So this project in particular, as I said, the participating parties would be the County of Bern's Department of Public Works, cities of Coloma and Watervliet, and Coloma Township as the joint owners of the water treatment plant. We're going to replace defective clarifiers, replace the liners of those clarifiers, improve the flow channels, and replace some manholes that need to be reinstalled. Installation of new valves, actuators, and electrical controls. This is supposed to improve the efficiency and the operations of the plant. Jones and Henry are the engineers for this project out of Kalamazoo. They're one of the premier wastewater treatment plant engineers in Michigan. Clark Hill will be our bond counsel. Peter Eklund, he's John Axe's longtime partner. John's more or less semi-retired at this point, and Peter's taking over the book of work for him. And Stephen Burke with MFCI will be the financial advisor on the bond issue. I think many of you have met Stephen before. He's been our financial advisor for well over 10 years now, I believe. The total cost of the project is $1.6 million. I will tell you that the sewer authority that operates that plant on behalf of the 4 communities has sizable cash reserves right now. They could pay for cash if they needed to, but I think wisely they want to keep a fair amount of cash in the bank. And with borrowing rates where they are, they're probably going to make more money on their cash than the interest payments on the borrowing. So it's a $1.6 million project. We've been asked to borrow $1.2 million of that. The remaining $400,000 will be paid in cash directly by the authority. Each municipality is responsible to pay 25% of the borrowing costs under their pledge of full faith and credit. As I said, debt service will be paid semi-annually. We do have a 1% penalty if they're late, but like I said, it's never happened in our experience. We can alter the scope of the project by up to 5% by selling additional bonds without authorization for the 4 communities. That's only happened once in my experience with Benton Township, where we had to sell supplemental bonds to cover some unanticipated costs. I don't expect that to happen here. Again, I mean, this just reiterates what I've already told you. We are anticipating, all the communities have passed their resolutions, approved the contract. The Board of Public Works has approved the scope of the project and approved the form of the bond and the form of the contract. And now we're just asking the Board of Commissioners for their final approval. If we can get these resolutions passed today, we will schedule a bond sale for late February with construction anticipated sometime in late spring of 2026. I know I ran through that as quickly as I could. Does anyone have any questions about how this works? Yeah.
Who comprises the
Okay, so the Department of Public Works is housed within community development. So the administrative functions of the Department of Public Works we run. The Board of Public Works, which is independent from the county, supervises these projects and administers the contract. And that board is comprised of 5 members of the public, and Dave is your liaison to it. Okay. Yeah, it's essentially under our department and we administer it.
Any other questions?
Dan, this is separate of today's presentation, but can you just talk about how ownership of past improvements works? I know this is something that they will have on the radar sometime in the future.
So you're talking about the transfer of ownership?
Yeah.
Okay, so the contract that we sign with the community spells out the ownership of the system that we're building. And it basically says you own it during the time that it's constructed and during the time that the bonds are being repaid. Once the final payment is made by contract, ownership automatically reverts back to the local communities. What has happened in the past sometimes is the communities years later say, hey, can we get some kind of title to show that there's been a transfer of ownership? We have done that in the past when we can actually define it by real estate for recording purposes or by UCC for security purposes. But that happens from time to time. Once these contracts are retired, by law, it automatically becomes owned by the local municipality. But sometimes we have to show some kind of transfer formally. May happen here, may not.
We have any providers like this that we're partnering with? Are they all?
Many. We currently have, Jake, is it 9 outstanding bonds that we're paying right now? I'd have to check, Bob, but I think we have 9 open bonds that we're paying, which means that we currently own those projects. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Mark?
The only thing I did to it was change the date.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, I can't. Yeah, see, he just wasn't hitting the right button.
It's still the
works.
space bar,
It
right?
works. It's this arrow right there.
Okay. All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to brief you on the funding changes that occurred with the adoption of the new budget. You can't see him right now, but in the background on the Zoom link, we are fortunate to have Ed Noyola. He is CRA's chief deputy and the legislative director for that organization, and he will be available for questions after the presentation is concluded. All right. So this slide is a representation of how the MTF was funded in the past. So 40% of it was fuel tax, 40% of it was registration fees, 16% of it was redirected income tax from the state, 3% was marijuana money, and then 1% of it was some mystical funding. All right. When the budget was passed in October, there were some structural changes made to the way that the Michigan Transportation Fund gathers its funds. So the immediate impact of that was it removes the transfer of $600 million from the general fund. It removed 6% of sales tax from gasoline, but it replaced that with a 20-cent per gallon gas tax, which is inflation indexed for the future. And it incorporated an increase on 24% tax on wholesale marijuana, not the retail, but the wholesale end of it, and then added $1.04 billion from corporate income tax. The distribution for the MTF remained the same, split across the 82 counties of the state of Michigan, and the distribution formula is done by incorporating road miles and population. Come on, clicker. Sorry, one too many. All right, so revenue and funding sources. So that corporate income tax, the first priority is to fund the general fund to the tune of $1.2 billion. The second priority is the Michigan Housing and Community Development at $50 million. And then the third priority of corporate income tax is to fund the neighborhood road funds, which leaves approximately $600 million to $1 billion. Within that is also incorporated with the wholesale marijuana tax, which the NRF fund talked about on the previous slide, plus wholesale marijuana tax equals $1.1 to $1.5 billion. Now within that, there are three things that have to be paid off the top or paid first. First one is the local bridge council gets $100 million. $40 million goes to railroad grade separation fund, and then $100 million goes to the CTF Infrastructure Project Authority. And with that, and then after all those off the tops are paid, we're left with approximately $1.08 billion. Oops, excuse me. Oh, sorry, I went backwards. All right, so that MTF, those funding sources within the MTF are split up between 28% goes to municipalities, 20% is received by MDOT, and then the remaining 52% is split among the 82 counties according to population and road miles. Within those, there are additional payments made to Berrien County. So we receive $10,000 per year for maintaining a licensed professional engineer on staff. We also receive snow payments. Snow payments are available to the 53 counties with a snowfall greater than 80 inches, right? And that totals $77,000 a year. We seem to be definitely meeting that this year. We're well on our way. And then the regular MTF distribution formula. Big picture planning, the state allocates these, or excuse me, I should say the MTF allocates this. And the general split is 33% to local roads and 66% to primary roads is the intent of the funding. The timeline, this is what I really want you to take away from this, right? So in October 2025, the redirected income fund, tax funding was removed from the Michigan Transportation Fund. So we lost that money. January 2026, the 1st of January, the gas tax collection begins. And the payments, including the change in gas tax, will not be seen until March, since MTF payments are 2 months behind where we're at. January 2026, corporate income tax collections begin. The NRF funding begins after the general fund and the housing community development priorities, and road agencies receive NRF funds once the off the top requirements have been funded. Fourth quarter of 2026, wholesale marijuana tax collections begin, and we expect in February 2027, you will see the results of the full effect of the new funding mechanisms. So based on that, can we bring that up?
Yeah, I'll stop the share.
I don't want to
No, you're good.
accidentally shut
There he
down
is.
the entire. So, based on that, commissioners, I'm interested to hear what your questions are.
Anyone have any?
What you told us.
Just to a wider audience.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
So Mark, in the interim, as this new funding source gets implemented, what do you need from the Board of Commissioners? How do we assist? Because there's going to be a gap for you all as it relates to funding. And when you have snowy winters like this, it puts even more of a burden on the budget. And what do you
It
need?
does. So the practical effect of that is the last few payments we've received from the MTF have been at 1.3 when they're normally around 1.8 or 1.9. And usually at the end of the year, there was a little bit more of an increase because that's when that 3% of the marijuana money showed up. So I've talked with Brian, and there is a resolution in front of you for it. I'm gonna hop in.
Okay.
All right, members of the board, there's going to be a discussion at today's finance committee. We very intentionally queued up Mark to make sure that the full board understands exactly what we're facing, which is cash flow. It's a cash flow issue and it's coming at the absolute wrong time. So there is an F resolution that will be presented today to the finance committee. The F resolution allows for roughly $2 million to be drawn down from the delinquent tax fund to then be used by the road department to support operations and any upcoming expenses, planned expenses. We've reviewed the resolution internally. So your treasurer is here today, and unless she surprises me, she'll be giving you all the head nod that yes, she is supportive of the planned drawdown. This is one that it would be a zero interest loan moving from the delinquent tax fund to the road department. The road department would then begin repayment in the spring with the planned first payment to occur in April. Any drawdown that occurs during 26 will be repaid by the road department in 2026 calendar year. It is my hope that if the finance committee is comfortable with the resolution, that potentially the committee would be willing to move it forward to today's agenda for board action.
And my question is, I'm a little bit confused because that information, that funding source was all about the new funding. What happened to the old funding that we need interim? Because we said on the new funding, we were gonna hold anyway until we received the payments because we knew it would be delayed. So where is our 2026 normal funding, not under the new plan of the new collections, but they didn't stop the old funding?
They didn't stop all of the old funding. So we've lost roughly 1.2 to 1.5 million dollars in funding since the new budget went in.
Because
of the structural changes to the way. So that immediate withdrawal of what Ed.
Yeah. Well, it's a real easy answer. You look at the 600 million that we were collecting from the income tax transfers going into the MTF, that went away October 1st. So that basically meant that every road agency was receiving a 19 to 20% cut in their MTF revenues from the previous year. If you go month by month, you'll see that there's a substantial reduction in their MTF checks. And that is due to losing that corporate income tax immediately October 1. So that's the hole that was created by taking that 600 million out. And I think that's what Mark is asking you to help him backfill that for now until the new tax, the new fuel tax, is collected and distributed. Again, like Mark said, we collect the fuel tax January 1, but you will not see that until March. There's always a 2-month delay in reconciling the books in order for Treasury to cut checks in March for January collections. So that's when you'll see that increase in revenue coming in. But it's really not an increase in revenue. It's pretty much a back to where he was in 25 monthly amounts. You might get a little bit more because of the 20 cents, but in all reality, we're telling our members that you should have a continuation budget for 26. And then in 27, we'll probably work out all the kinks, or I should say Treasury will work out all the kinks in the marijuana tax and in the corporate income tax collections and distributions.
So they didn't collect fuel tax for 3 months. They didn't collect fuel tax for 3 months, October through December. There was no fuel tax because the price of gas didn't go down.
No, there was no income tax transfer monies. Income tax money was coming in from Treasury in a bulk lump sum, 600 million coming into the MTF. That went away. So that's where the shortfall is. Nothing to do with the fuel tax or the gas tax being collected and distributed. This is a separate, if you look at that pie chart, you'll see that 600 million was coming in to the MTF. Now it's gone. But the 20-cent increase in the fuel tax is going to generate that revenue and backfill whatever they lost in the 600 million income tax.
John?
So Mark and Brian, the pre-read was very clear. So I read it and I understood it It correlates really well to what you're talking about. My concern is on a go forward basis in years to come. All right, we've got this timing issue right now. And so for all of you guys here, does the timing issue resolve itself once this gets put in place eventually? Or is this going to be something that is going to be, I get the need for it, I totally understand it. So we're in a timing problem. Does this go away in the future? What makes this go away in the future so that you're not coming back to us all the time and asking for the pair up? Because does this happen in the future? What corrects the timing?
Well, I would defer to Ed on this. I would tell you, this is this is a have to, not a need.
Let me jump in before Ed does.
Okay.
Part of your question is, yes, this should correct itself, assuming the state actually issues payment at the level that was promised in the state budget. Road department, road agencies are the big winner in the state budget if they deliver on what has been promised. So a big portion of this revenue stream is tied to the marijuana tax increase that is being challenged in court. Assuming the state is victorious on that, assuming those dollars arrive, road department's fund balance is going to grow substantially. So to answer your question, I think that this is a somewhat unique situation that if we actually receive the payments, road department's fund balance is going to grow by well over $7 million. And you should not see a similar request for many years to come. But I will also defer to Ed on the likelihood of that number actually being achieved and the state actually paying that to the Berrien County Road Department. Ed, I apologize for cutting you off. Please continue.
No, not a problem. I appreciate your comments. But he's correct. The one thing that's for sure is the corporate income tax. That's been collected for decades now. So that revenue source is going to continue coming in, and we're going to collect that revenue, but it's not in a monthly fashion like we're accustomed to with the fuel tax and the registration fees. It's going to be collected quarterly. So we don't know what we're actually getting. Are we getting last quarter's or 2 quarters ago revenue? Or are we getting this first quarter, the current quarter? So until we figure that out with Treasury, and Treasury hasn't been forthcoming very well with how they're going to implement or how they're going to distribute it, or what revenue are you actually receiving? Are you receiving last quarter or 2 quarters ago or the current quarter? So until we work out the kinks in this year in 26, we'll know better in 27 about the corporate income tax. Again, the marijuana tax is in the courts right now, but we feel very confident, and I think the attorneys for the legislature and the governor's office also feel very confident that they followed the proper rules for voting for this 24% wholesale tax. That they're assuming the industry, the marijuana or the cannabis industry, is making the claim that because it's a different tax on something that's already being taxed, that should have had 2/3 votes in both chambers, which is not what the attorneys for both chambers and the governor's office said. They didn't feel like that was a necessary thing. When they did the original marijuana tax, or allowing marijuana to be sold and taxed, that required a 2/3, not this additional wholesale tax, which is totally different than the initial creation of the marijuana, opening up marijuana and taxing marijuana. So that, we feel pretty good about that. And again, as was said earlier, once that revenue starts flowing and we figure out the timing for that revenue coming in, regardless whether it's a month or 2 months or a quarter or 2 quarters late, that's neither here nor there. That money will be rolling into the MTF or being distributed by Treasury.
Does that answer your question? Yeah, but it's still unsettling that this isn't something we should have to come back to us and do every year, so sorry to check with this point in time, but I understand reasons for why they're changing revenue sources, and I get it, so thank you for that. Thank you for the explanation.
I mean, overall, it's extremely good news that these new changes have happened for the road department and for the county at large and the public roadways. It's just gonna take some time to get there with these new structures and funding sources in place. Wouldn't you say, Ed?
Yeah, I think we need to also mention one more thing about the corporate income tax. It's going to increase by 88 million every year until 2030. And that's when we're going to get to that 1.05 or $1.5 billion coming from the corporate income tax. So we will see an increase in the neighborhood roads fund every year by $88 million. So that money's a guarantee that's coming in. The only thing we got to get past, excuse me, is the marijuana. Let's resolve that through the court system, and then we'll know for sure solidly how much you're going to get. But you will see an increase because of the corporate income tax for sure.
Terry?
Mark, in your presentation, I noticed the funding in some of your later slides references the larger dollar amounts, right? And as Ed is referencing, this is an on-ramp. It's going to be a gradual climb, and have staff been able to sort of figure out those dollars as it relates to Berrien as we kind of climb up to make certain, to John's point, you know, we're not having this be a reoccurring thing until we get fully funded at that point of 2030.
So, Commissioner, what I would tell you is information has been a little bit scant on that. We did get a document several weeks ago and almost months ago from ORDA. And the estimate of that was in 2026, the full, oh, sorry. I think I'm getting some feedback. So, Orta produced a document approximately, would you say, Ed, 2 months ago? Was that
Yes.
about?
Yes.
So many conversations have happened before that, so I would encourage everyone to take it with a grain of salt. So the estimated revenue for the road department in 2026 is 29 million. And when full funding mechanism goes into effect in 2027, it's expected to be 33.9 for Berrien County. That information is 2 months old.
I would just make this comment too, that I'm not as comfortable as all y'all are with having a lock at the state level on that corporate tax, okay? And so I'm not, I mean, maybe I'm the only guy in the room that feels that way, but I don't feel that that's a lock at this point in time, you know? I mean, I appreciate where it's headed right now, but I've seen things change at the state level, so. And just an offhand comment, so.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, just as a final comment on this, as a reminder, the admin committee, the Board of Commissioners, through this discussion, it's been made abundantly clear to road department staff that any increase in revenue, that they're applying it to fund balance, that there's not going to be a mad dash to spend down that fund balance. They've been instructed to active communication to their parent committee on how high the dollars go, and then what is the planned usage of the dollars. We understand that the commissioners very much want to see that essentially these one-time dollars are going to have the maximum benefit.
And just as a matter of course today, the finance committee will see this, but you'll be voting on this at the 10:30 meeting, correct?
Commissioner, if there is a willingness to move this forward, I would certainly encourage the board to do so. However, we recognize that this is not a common practice, and should the board say you need additional time, we understand that. But we are hopeful that the board is willing to consider being more prompt than is practice.
Madam Treasurer, have you anything to add?
No, I understand, you know, the need is out there. We've been seeing it coming for a while now. It is alarming. Thankfully, we do have, you know, this funding that we can turn to, but I have to agree with John. I'm a little leery on the fact that this is going to happen again. And, you know, the state, I understand, you know, they have to work through the bugs. It's a new system. We're all working through it. I have my own issues in my own department with, you know, excess proceeds and such, but I'm willing to, you know, loan the money interest-free and and hopefully get them back on their feet.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, we'll go to public comments.
Oh, Ed, on behalf of the county, thank you very much for taking the time this morning. It's appreciated.
I appreciate your time and thank you for the invitation.
Apparently there aren't any public comments, sir.
If I could have a moment, so envelope was passed out to the commissioners. This is our long-awaited evaluation form for the corporate council. And so I know this is, you've all been just waiting and waiting for this. So let's get it back in a week, or if you want to do it today, you know, and you can fit that in, that'd be great. Then we can get it all wrapped up. And so as just a reminder, we're deferring action on the county administrator due to his imminent departure. So no need to.
Eminent or imminent? I think it's imminent.
Imminent. Thank you.
Okay. Well, all right, let's break for committees and be back at 10:30.
Ed, I'm going to shut down the Zoom. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, so there's a
Periodic check.